Hi, welcome to How to Repair. I'm just firstly going to establish that the audio and everything is working. I'm having to stream from inside the van today because it's exceedingly blowy outside as we've come to the top of the Atlas Mountains in Morocco. And let me just go through. We've got a couple of people with questions already. So firstly, could someone come back to me and just confirm that the audio's all working? I'll just wait a second for this. I'll deal with your question in a second, laddie. And Morga, I'll have a look at yours as well. I'm just waiting for someone to confirm the audio, that's all. Yep, sound is perfect. Thank you, Berkeley. Okay, right, let me firstly, before I answer the individual questions, just actually tell you we've come up from the Sahara Desert and we've come up to the Atlas Mountains. Now, what I've stumbled across on the last few days, I will be able to do a lot more streams for you in the future because I've worked out I can actually do live streaming while driving and safely. This means that I'll be able to not only kill the boredom of driving by letting you lot ask me questions as I'm going along, I'll also be able to interact with you as well. So that is all positive. The only time it stumbled was when I went through a city with tall buildings. Anyway, let's deal with these questions. Laddie, sorry, I meant energy. I have rinse hold and on and off LEDs flashing. Rinse hold and LED. Off the top of my head, I wish you'd sent this in prior. This could be a PCB fault. I'll have to do some research on it. If you want to send your question in through the contact us page, I'll see what I can find out with regards to that. Now, if you do need a new PCB, let me just bear with me at the broadcast, bring the question up. That's what you originally said. Then you said the PCB. Now, the WF000G stands for graphite. So when looking for a circuit board for this machine, you don't need to use the last letter. You can actually drop that. You might be lucky enough to actually find one on eBay. I had a look at my website and the one I had sold out. And if I just go on to share screens a second. So I put your model number in up here and had a look down. There was one, but it's being discontinued or sold. And don't worry about the price. Sometimes the caching system on the website doesn't put things in correctly. But I can't see that I've got any other parts for this machine at the moment. If we drop the G, I'm wondering if there's a W or an S one available. And no, that's the same PCB. No, there's not. So what you want to do is go on to eBay. And if I go on to eBay Co UK and just use your model number. Oh, I can't scrape from there. That's annoying. Let me just bring that up. Copy the question from the web page. Paste that in for you. Right, let's get rid of the G and just put PCB. You may be lucky someone is selling one. Control panel and knobs. There's a company, now this company actually repairs them and they do a good job. I've seen these QER Limited. They have, a lot of customers have used them for repairing Zanussi boards and everything else. That's too expensive. The others are all not related. So there's none on eBay at the moment and I haven't got one. So it would have to be a new circuit board if you wanted to go down that way. And yes, you're going to need a smart card reader. And if it's a new circuit board, you're going to have to get it programmed, I'm sorry to say. And to be honest with you, needing all those parts is going to be uneconomic. It's, you know, I hate to say it, but sometimes when things get that expensive, it's just not worth it. So you can either wait, have a look on Facebook Marketplace as well. I'm not going to bring Facebook up because that's my personal details that would be showing on the screen. But also have a look, Facebook Marketplace. There's a couple of other sites in the UK where you'd find a PCB. And look out for second-hand machines as well, because sometimes someone has got a complete machine with knackered bearings, and that just needs basically buying the machine and then transplanting the PCB into your machine. I hope that helps you. But if you need further help, do use the contact us page on the website. Okay, now we have Moraga. I think I pronounced that, or Mr. Campbell, whichever, or Mrs. Campbell. Beko B3T49241DW, not heating. Where is the reset button? First thing I need to do is just check your model, if you don't mind. Just bear with me 1 second. DDD. This looks like it's a heat pump tumble dryer, Morag. If it is a heat pump tumble dryer, it doesn't have a reset button. It will be the compressor that creates the heat on the condensing side and cools the air coming through the filter going into the evaporator. Now, if your compressor is not running, this would be the reason it's not drying the clothes. You do say heating, just bear with me. Let me move that up a bit so I can read it. Yeah, if it's not heating, it's definitely the compressor not running. This can be caused either... I did a video recently, and let me get it for you and put it in the chat. It will show you the basic ways of testing. Just bear with me 1 second. Let me see if I can find this. Test heat pump. You must all bear with me with this technology as well, because I am new to it and I'm just trying to get all these things working and me used to the system that I'm using. Okay, so I'm going to put a link down here for you, and this is a basic way of testing heat pump tumble dryers. You will be able to find out if the compressor is running with an ampage meter, and they don't cost a lot of money. They are as little as £10. And once you've got the heat pump tumble dryer plugged into that, you will see initial wattage of somewhere in the region of 200 watts when the motor's turning. But once the compressor kicks in after a couple of minutes, or when the compressor should kick in, then you should see the wattage increase to 400-500 watts. If you watch that video, it will help you no end in understanding how the actual tumble dryer works. I hope that's answered your question. Thank you, Alex, for telling me the audio's fine. Laddie, okay, we will have a look at this. I do apologise if I haven't responded to you. As you can imagine, I'm working in the middle of nowhere at the moment, and I will get round to this. Can you make a note of that, Burkay? Yeah, for Laddie. See what we can find out about these two flashing lights for him. Okay, next one. Well, very good question, Alex. Which do I prefer? I actually do like Bosch machines, but I am disgusted with the company, and I don't care anymore if I upset these companies, because I'm being blatant the way this industry has actually moved. It's moved in the wrong direction. Electrolux machines, you are able to get technical data for them. Whether it's a Zanussi, AEG, Electrolux, all of these machines, engineers have got facilities to get wiring diagram, exploded views of the machine, and also workshop manuals, which assist people in repairing it long term. Bosch only supply exploded diagrams of the machine. Both companies now are manufacturing machines with sealed drums, but on some high-end machines, you are able to split the drum, but that's down to the model. It is really down to your choice. I do like the Electrolux machines and I do like the Bosch machines, but if you had to ask me to choose, because they are Bosch, Neff and Siemens are not supplying technical data only to their owner engineers, I am going to push you towards Electrolux, for the simple reason being is at least they are trying to support the customer. Hope that answers your question. Thank you very much, Hanif. I try to produce as much content even when I'm traveling. I've got a twin tub outside at the moment, and the reason I've come from the desert after making the bit of a laugh video with the camel, a lot of people, matter of fact, I haven't put the link in for that. That is worth a couple of minute watch because it is exceedingly funny. You don't often see a camel with a twin tub on its back. But what I try and do is do maintenance videos. And this machine, I'm not only going to be doing how to replace the gearbox, how to replace the two motors, also how to do maintenance. But I couldn't do the videos in the desert because every day it was blowing a hoolie, and I'd be only doing damage to the machine, getting sand grit into things which shouldn't have any sand in it, like the motor or the gearbox, whatever. So I'll put that link down there for you so you can see. But you will enjoy the entrance to that video. Not often you see a camel with a washing machine strapped to its back. Let's move on. I'm trying to keep up with these. And I've also had some pre-sent questions as well, which I will be answering. Peter, you will love the place. I was weary. Well, not weary, that's the wrong word. I was a bit worried when I first came here, because you hear all the things on the news. You hear, people who've travelled here saying they've had problems. All I have experienced is generous people, fantastic scenery, and companies even, and shop owners in my industry put the red carpet out. I mean, I went into a big superstore, Electroplanet, and the manager there rang his head office and said, "Is it okay if this English guy films?" He came back and said, "Yes, no problem." And they even went to the point of getting you a cup of tea. I mean, you try doing that in Curry's in the UK, forget it. Anyway, oh, Alex, what's your opinion on inverter drive motors? The LG Samsung machines with the direct drive motors, I've been quite impressed with. Other inverter motors, I am also impressed with. What I am not impressed with is the circuit boards that control these motors. There has been a lot of inverter motors where the circuit boards have failed, and it doesn't take much for them to either have a dry joint on the circuit board or some component blowing. And then the circuit boards are so expensive, it makes customers choose to buy a new machine. And again, manufacturers win, built-in obsolescence. I mean, when you consider the cost of what a circuit board costs the manufacturers to get made, I'll guarantee you that even a complex circuit board for a machine that's produced in bulk is not costing much more than about £10 to £15. But yet they are trying to charge customers in excess of £200-300 on occasions. So I love the motors. They are not only more efficient, they are lighter. In other words, they have less copper inside them, which is also helping the planet. So we're not burning all the resources and everything. You know, the technology, when it's right, should go forward. I've done some very controversial videos recently with regards heat pump technology because I think they're just bringing it out too early. They haven't solved all the problems and they're using the customers like guinea pigs to find out. And then actually boycott, or not boycotting, but making vented tumble dryers and heat pump tumble dryers obsolete after the next year or so. Is ludicrous, but that's just my opinion. All right, let me get down. Marga, thank you very much. Please resubmit your question, by the way, if I miss you, because I'm having to go through a list here and I'm trying to keep up as they're coming in. Right, Hanif, model number Samsung WF70F5E2W4X. The machine drum was flooded and left for a couple of years due to the sink blockage. It's being cleared but struggling to drain water out. Replace the drain hose. Well, the first things you need to check, Hanif, is tilt the machine backwards. Take the sump hose off the bottom of the drum that connects to the pump. If the machine has been standing a long time, sometimes there is a plastic ball, which is an anti-siphon device, and this can actually be stuck on the rubber plastic. So you want to take that pipe off and give that a clean. Secondly, you want to check the pump itself, make sure there's no debris in it, make sure the impeller is turning freely, and then have a look at the filter. You can actually just get the hose, put it into a bucket, put it on a rinse cycle and see what flow of water is coming out of the machine. If it isn't strong after you've cleaned all those things, then you may have a problem with a weak pump, or you may have something just up inside the drum where the heater is. A sock or something may be wrapped around that area. Normally, the simplest of things cause the biggest headaches or problems, and it's just finding these out as you go along. I think I pronounced that correctly. Boca. We are just two of us. Would you recommend a good washer dryer combo? Oh. I did like the older Bosch washer dryer combo, and that's Bosch, Neff or Siemens. But with regards to the modern stuff today, I don't know which way to steer you. And I'm being honest. I would find the most basic washer dryer you can that's affordable for your household. And if you walk in there expecting it to last 5-6 years and it lasts longer, you're on a winner. If it doesn't, then you're not going to be too upset. But keeping it affordable for your household, I would say, is the most important thing. Bear with me 1 second. Oh, that's all right. My IT guy is telling me I've got these questions too high up, but I can't read them at the bottom. So I might have to move some things around here. Yeah, that's better. Okay. Yeah, and also the Electrolux, so AEG or the Zanussi washer dryers are good. But, some of the older ones are very, very good. Am I missing induction hob? Ooh. Again, affordability, Peter. Let me just put the question up. You sent that initially, but then you added induction hob. Peter, at the end of the day, induction hobs are controlled by circuit boards again. And when the circuit board fails, or any component really in induction hob outside of the guarantee period, it is going to cost you a lot of money to get repaired, because one, it's not a job normally general public is able to do. On some occasions, you may have a dry joint on a circuit board or something, but diagnosing, because normally there's two circuit boards, one for controlling half the two hobs and another circuit board for controlling the other two hobs on most brands. But the problem being is it's what affordable to you. And at the end of the day, Beko supply very good technical data, and a hob's a hob at the end of the day. It's only a piece of glass on the actual kitchen unit. You've got to get the special saucepans to go with it, of course. But I would just keep it affordable for yourself, mate. I'm not actually going to promote any brands really unless I see them trying to help the consumer out long term. Morgo again. Do you have a how-to video on how to replace a compressor on a... No, I do not. And I will never, ever be doing a video on how to replace a compressor in a heat pump tumble dryer, because it's more work than it's worth. You need specialist gas equipment. You've got to cut the lines. You've got to have recycling stuff to collect the gas. You've then got to buy the gas, but with the cost of the compressor. And then also you have got to have the right equipment for doing it. And it's not an easy job, mate. If a heat pump tumble dryer goes wrong, really speaking, if it's not simple, like a blockage in the condenser or the evaporator, or the compressor's not running due to a starter relay, or a sensor may have failed, then you are in a world... This is why I made the video. You know, it is totally... If a vented tumble dryer or condenser tumble dryer went wrong, and the main part of it, which creates the heat, had failed, like the heating element, or even the motor had failed, it's easy to replace. Yeah. But when it comes to a heat pump tumble dryer, not only are they a nightmare to work on, and if there's any engineers watching this, they will put their comments in as well. They're not easy to work on, and the whole machine has to come apart just to get access to it. Until they change the designs on these, I'm not going to promote heat pump tumble dryers in any way, although they are energy efficient. The American systems are much bigger boxes, and therefore you're not trying to cram everything in. Some of the American Samsung heat pump tumble dryers got the evaporator and the condenser on the top, self-cleaning system. You can even access the evaporator and condenser to clean it, but we don't sell them in the UK. They're only for the American market, because the American market has much larger machines. Hope that answers your question. Okay, so oh no, one more, Alex M. What is your opinion on Candy Hoover machines? I think they are poorly built. Yes, I agree with you. They're not high end anymore. Hoover in the 80s and 90s built a brilliant washing machine. It was the A3 series, great machine. The Chinese now have taken over Hoover. I'm nothing against the Chinese at all. I would just say the machine Hoover and Candy are not built anywhere near what they were many years ago. But I could say that about a lot of brands. And, you know, as I said, I'm not beating around the bush anymore. If I see a manufacturer is ripping off the general public, I will be doing a video on it and telling people to avoid buying those machines. And I'm going to be doing some on on air fat fryers shortly, because I found out some information which is ludicrous, that a lot of the air fat fryer companies do not even have to supply parts. Please tell me why. It's a £200-300 item, and the company does not legally required to sell parts. It's wrong. Anyway, Boring Machine Channel, good name. It's me again. I've dismantled my Samsung digital inverter washing machine, and I was wondering which site is best to sell the good parts. Well, this is actually, are you a business? Be very interested to talk to you if you are. I'm actually designing, it's going to take a while. So, Rome wasn't built in a day. But if I change screens here, and let me go to me and that. On here, you can see that I've got a lot of second-hand parts. I also sell new parts as well. Now, I am so fed up with the manufacturing industry where machines are getting scrapped and everything is getting destroyed by the crusher. There are so many parts on machines which cost a fortune. Now, if I've got a good door lock that comes off a machine, why not sell it and let someone else benefit from it? I'll make a couple of quid. The actual customer will make a couple of quid. There are some very bad examples of glitches on the site at the moment, so don't look at all the prices. But, you know, retaining bands, a belt for a washing machine. If you were buying this belt new, it would cost you about 15 quid. I took it off the machine, had most probably burnt out printed circuit board or possibly collapsed bearings. That belt was in good condition and go to a new home, and someone will save a fortune. I'll make a few quid out of it. And what I'm getting at here is I'm building this in a way that engineers will be able to sell the machine parts that they scrap in the future. So they'll have an account, have a login, and they'll be able to list all their second-hand parts on there. And if they've made a video on it, then of course the parts will come up in the links on the video as well. Anyway, that answers that one. Let me go back to the main screen. Appliance guy, let me bring this up on screen. WMA 58 I got in August 2020. I got it, brand new box, and it's just gone nuts, scared. Wait, I just got to read this again. It wasn't quite making sense. Sorry. I got in August 2004. I got it brand new, in the box. It has just gone nuts. Scared glass for good. Scared glass. Not understanding the last bit. Can you just in case you're using auto type or type correct, can you just put it in again? Oh, no problem at all, Peter. I've also, if you are coming to this country, and let me just get a link here for you. You've already done it? Okay. Burkeye's put a link into all the campsites that I've stayed in Morocco, which are worthwhile. I've stayed in a lot of these campsites that have got 300 spaces, and they're just a commercial market. I never bothered making a video on them. They've got enough business as it is. The small family households who have no idea how to market things and everything else, and they looked after me when I stayed there. I made videos on for them just to help them out. Anyway, hope that answers that. Is it in response to shop? No. Well, why? If someone is discarding a machine and no longer has a use for it because maybe two individuals have got married and they've moved into a house and they had two separate machines, there are some good second-hand machines out there. You just need to make sure you're buying it from someone that you trust, and ask them to see it working. You've got no problems in buying second-hand, and we should. The problem being is the domestic appliance industry now has become such a throwaway society that they're making these, the twin tub I've got outside cost me £100, and I can't see it failing for 2-3 years. Now, if you work on that principle, I could buy 3 for the same cost as an automatic, and I'm guaranteed 10 years worth of use. So, appliance guy, sorry, bad typing. I thought it was. No problem, mate. Let me just bring up your question. Just gone nuts with towels. Cashed the glass. Oh, right, okay. You mean the drum hit the glass? You may have warped the drum, mate. If you've put excess load into the machine with towels, I've seen people even washing trainers. These drums are not as well made as they used to be, and if the drum warps, it can catch the glass. I've seen this on many occasions. WMA 58 sitting in the garage for 20 years. I made a video, unboxed it in August 2000. Yeah, I mean, those, you know, the WMA 58s was pretty much one of the last decent Hotpoints that they made. The ones I used to love were the predecessors to that, which was the Hotpoint 95 series, which was 80s, 90s. And before that, it was the classic 18 series. And that was one of the best workhorses. Well, that's how Hotpoint built their name. Those two machines, that's why Hotpoint is the name it is today. I'll tell you what you could do, Appliance Guy, is why don't you have a look for the genuine part number for that drum, and then have a look on eBay, Facebook Marketplace, Gumtree. You'll be amazed how many engineers sell off old stock. And this would be a machine that you may be able to pick a drum up for a new drum, for as little as 50, 60 quid. Peter, thank you. My pleasure, sir. I'll see, you know, Hanif, that's on here at the moment. See if you can find him, link repair teams or website if we've got it, if we have got a pump. Might even have a second-hand one, so just have a look. Okay, now I'm going to answer some of the ones that were sent in to us. And believe it or not, I think you are, yes, that was you've already been on here and you sent it in earlier. So I'll discard that one for the moment. Right, let's have a read of some of these. Zanussi ZKC5030W1. Cooker and oven was used to cook a meal without a problem. Next time the cooker power switch was turned on, it trips the mains electric. After checking the fan element, as per video, I'm getting... The ohms really doesn't make a difference when you've got an element tripping. This usually means that you've got electricity passing to earth above the 30, I think it's 30 milliamp standard, and therefore knocking your fuse board off. Not getting any reading when checking the element for going to ground. You need a mega or an insulation tester to actually test an element correctly. You might have seen me using them in some of the recent videos I've done on how to test elements. But what I would tend to do, first things first, is I would disconnect the cooker from the electricity supply and get some insulation tape and take each wire off the element and just tape it up so it's safe and you can't create a short. This is an easy way of diagnosing if it's a problem with elements or the cooker itself. Now, once you've got all those wires safely insulated, you could then plug the cooker back in, power it up, turn the timer to manual, set it to fan oven setting, set it to grill setting, set it to base element setting, if you've got that. We've also brought up a page for you which has all the information, and Burkeye will put this in for you. So let me just share screens a second. Okay, so we created a page for you. I will put the full answer in here shortly for you. But here you have the wiring diagram for the machine. I can't rotate this, sorry, that's the way it came off the website. And I've also got you the service manual as well for the machine. And you've got all the exploded diagrams. This looks like it's a freestanding cooker. So you've got a grill element, which is a dual circuit. You've got a base element on your top oven. So when you're using the top oven, it's using half of the element on the grill and the base element to achieve heat. When you're just using the grill, it'll be using inner and outer grill. And on the main oven, it's a fan oven element that you've got, which is number 15. So if you disconnect all three of those elements and then plug it in, try it again, and it's not tripping the electricity, then you can assume that one of the elements has gone to fault. You could then reconnect one element individually at a time and see which one trips the electricity supply. This way, it'll be pointing you in the right direction. But the only way, and you shouldn't do this unless you are competent with electrics. Excuse me. What I would also do is, once you've actually found out, it's most probably the fan of an element that's going to earth. So people don't realize that sometimes an element can be turned on and it may heat for 2 or 3 minutes and then trip the electricity. This is because the earth leakage is just getting greater and greater as it warms up, and there is dampness in the element, or the element has got a fault and is going through to earth. So you don't always need a mega, but it does help. Engineers will always have a mega, and we can just put 2 clamps on the element, power it up, one connected to the earth, and we would see that it's above the 30 milliamp standard, and therefore we'd know which element straight away. But general public does not own a meter like this because they cost £300-400 to buy. I hope that answers your question. Right, so let me just I've got to change scenes a second. I'm still getting used to all this technology, so that one's done. I'm just going to delete these so I don't go over them again. Okay, let me go back to the chat and see what others have come in recently. Hello from Turkey, best wishes. Hello, Yukef. Am I pronouncing it? No? Go on. How do I? Ufuk. Uf. Got to be careful saying that on camera. Yeah, because I might get penalised from Google. Do apologise about pronouncing your name incorrectly. Yes, I will be in Turkey, hopefully by Christmas this year. I'm hoping the world rectifies a lot of the problems that are going on in the world, and this is not political, but I've always wanted to go around the Black Sea. And so I've got appointments to go to in Turkey at some manufacturers, and they've offered me a tour around their factory and so on. But I would love to be able to go up to Georgia, I can go up to Azerbaijan, I can go up to, but I would love to go into Russia and then Ukraine. But let's just hope they solve all the problems and start talking to each other, and rather than blooming killing people. It's crazy how the world is getting nowadays. Okay, next one. What do you think of Turbo Wash 360 and recirculating wash technology? Turbo Wash. Can you elaborate on this, please? Give me an exact machine. When you say Turbo Wash 360, what are you meaning? And recirculating wash. I might know it by different models and brands. It always helps me if we're talking about a specific machine. I'll come back to you once I see it pop up, okay? Do you have instructions to run through the diagnostic test issue? Morgan, what machine were you using? Just bear with me while I go back on the chat to see what machine it was. Can you remember what Morgan's Morga machine was he was talking about? I can't
check, but I couldn't find it.
I can't find it.
After the show, I think we can find it. We'll be putting related link in the description.
Yeah, I'll just go back to the YouTube video on here and see if I can find it in the chat on here. As you can hear, the wind is now really blowing up on these mountains. I haven't shown you outside yet. I did set a camera up for this. Yeah, you've got a Beko. Yes, I can help you, Morgan, no problem at all. You've got a model number B3T 49241DW. If you just send a quick message in saying you spoke to Paul on the live show via the website, I'll be happy to get you the workshop manual, wiring diagram, and any other bit of information I can for you. Hope that helps you. Not in this industry, but your niche is awesome. Never seen anyone else logging live streaming like this. Wish I found you before I called the maintenance guy last time. Look, I've got to the point in my life now where, you know, I'm nowhere near, I'm not wealthy or anything else, but I've got enough money to do these expeditions that I do. And I do earn money off the YouTube videos. I also get people buying me a beer and donating to the website. And my business partner in the UK is building the website where we sell the parts from and everything else. And I don't get involved in that at all. What I get involved in now is, while I'm away, making video content like this, helping people, making videos on controversial issues that everyone's suffering with. You know, let's face it, hardly anything lasts any time anymore, and they're getting far too complicated. And when I go back to the UK, I'm recharged, and then I'll make maybe 10, 15 videos on how to replace this, how to repair this, and I'll do it in bulk over the course of a week or so. And that gives me the content to then keep feeding the website and everything else. Is that Morags? Oh, you were quick. You're going to have to buy Burkeye a beer. He was too quick for me here. Can you also put the link in for Morag?
Yep.
And then Morag's got that as well. Gorenje. Some of their stuff's okay. And, you know, you've got to remember that I think there is only 7 or 8 major players in the market today, and they're all running under multiple different brand names. If we look at Hotpoint Interset, for example, they were acquired. So Hotpoint was initially acquired by Interset. Interset then went out and bought Creeder, Jackson, and any other brands. Then they were acquired by Whirlpool. Now Whirlpool has been acquired by Beko, and hopefully there will be workshop manuals available in the future for all these makes where they didn't before. When it comes to Gorenje, you know, it all depends on which machine it is and who's actually manufactured. I can't remember who's Gorenje mostly manufactured by. Gorenje.
Grundig?
No, that's Beko Grundig. Just bear with me. You have to bear with me. I'm just getting used to doing all these things. I'm trying to think. I think Gorenje's higher group. Hisense, yeah. I think it is Hisense. Yeah, so it's part of the Hoover group. Yeah, I mean, look, it's just one of the multiple brands that Haier have. I don't think all their machines are made by Haier, but a lot of their washing machines are, and I believe a lot of their cookers are. But it all depends on the machine. I mean, as someone else asked me and didn't earlier on, I don't, you know, Hoover Candy is not the same company as it was 15, 20 years ago. And when you're buying a machine, you know, if you can, there are some companies now producing machines where they give you a 5-year guarantee. If it's for parts and labor, jump on it. Yeah. If it's only parts, then it's usually a con. And because they're going to charge you £150, I'm going to have to nip outside a second because it started to blow a hoolie and I've set a camera up to show you where I am. So I'm flicking over to that, but it's blowing. Ah! That's what I was frightened of. Bolt down the window. Hopefully I haven't damaged the camera. But I hope everyone's still there. Sorry about that. You know it's live when stuff like that happens. So if I hold the camera for you, because it is blowing 60 miles an hour suddenly, and you look up there, that's snow on the top of the Atlas Mountains. And if we go down to the bottom there, this is the road system that I've come up to at the moment. And I'm at approximately 2,500 meters. And tomorrow, when we leave here, we're ascending to 3,200 meters. I'll show you on the map. I'm going to actually bring the camera in because, let me go back to the main. Yeah, sorry about everything blowing over, but I didn't expect the weather to change like that suddenly. Right, it only happens when you're live. Okay, I went out to show everyone I lost my spot. I need to find out, excuse me talking to my colleague a second, I need to find out how to bring up a person's name so I know he's talking about an LG. Put it in the second comment. Okay, let's bring that one up. So like the water jet spraying over the washing machine. So like the water jet spraying over the washing machine. I'm not too sure on your question there. When you spraying water over the washing machine, jet spraying water over the washing machine. The only thing that's in the drum are drum paddles, which pick up water as they go round and also push it in. And some of the LGs have a recirculation pump, which takes water from the bottom of the machine and then sprays it down the glass on the door from the top of the seal. But I'm not too sure what you're on about there. Please elaborate a little bit more. Oh, does it help stain removal? Not really. I would... No, I wouldn't say it would help stain room. You know, the tumbling action of the washing machine has not changed in the last 50 years. The basic principle is there today. All these extra gizmos, companies, I actually think washing machines wash worse today than they used to. The reason being is they're using a lot less water. You know, the water is there for the purpose of absorbing. It's like how many teaspoons of sugar can you put in the coffee until you end up with sugar at the end of drinking the cup in the bottom. And that's because the water can only absorb so much dirt into the water and remove it. So if we're using just a couple of liters of water nowadays, I find it very hard how they are praising the wash cycles as much as they are. I think older machines that were using 10 litres of water were much better. And why do we need to save so much water in the UK? It never seems to stop raining. But do elaborate a bit more on that if you have a technical problem or anything else. JC Electrodomestics from Portugal. Which end of Portugal are you? I might even know you. I used to have a shop down in Faro and used to do recycled appliances, make videos from there, and I also had a laundry, but I had to shut everything down due to family problems, other bits and pieces. But I loved my time in Portugal. Absolutely great place. And I'm still involved a little bit with a few things down in Faro nowadays. Okay, Morgan, no problem. And I think if you look through the chat, Burkai's also put a link in for you, already created the page. We might need to personalize it a little bit, but at least you've got the technical information and it'll most probably have the diagnostic sequence and everything else there for you.
And it's also in the description. It's also in the description.
It's also in the description on this video as well. Eastern European, 1 second, let me bring this up. In Eastern Europe, they regularly cut the sealed... Yeah, I've seen a lot of guys doing this. I've done it myself. And I did it because I wanted to see if it could be a affordable video, or affordable for the general public to go about doing it. Now, in Eastern Europe, in Morocco, in lots of other countries, labour is a lot cheaper than it is in Germany, France, the United Kingdom. So when you consider to actually go round a drum with an axle or a grinder and cut it perfectly, where the manufacturers have ludicrously welded the drum together, it's effort and reward. You only need to go into somewhere like Fag Bearings, NFK, or any decent bearing supplier, walk into the shop with 2 bearings in your hand and a seal. Most of the guys will be able to get you replacement seals and bearings, and they'll be 10 times better quality than the ones that were put in the machine in the first place. NFK, there's lots of good bearing companies out there, and it's well worthwhile doing. But the problem being is people in the UK would never spend 5 hours on a Sunday cutting a machine apart to gain access to the bearings. And then you've also got the problem of, is it going to leak when you've glued it all back together? And if people haven't done the job correctly, they could have spent 5-6 hours doing it, put it all back together, and find out that the 2 halves of the drum haven't sealed well. Again, I'm going to have a go at all the manufacturers here. And I would love someone in the industry to tell me, how is it that all manufacturers within 2 years decided to build sealed drums? Did you all go to a Christmas party and have a discussion at a Christmas table and say, how can we rip general public off? It is absolutely such a rigged game nowadays. And by sealing the drums, they're guaranteeing built-in obsolescence. Hope that answers your question, mate. I think we should reduce waste everywhere. The problem is the greed of the world. 2,000 people in this world own 80% of every penny on the planet. And they're not happy with that. They seem to want more. Anyway, end of politics. Yeah, Gorenje is Hisense. Yeah. RC Hisense, yes, thank you. Much appreciated. You've got to remember, old head doesn't remember everything in the world. You got a hats off.
Yep.
There you go, mate. You get praise at last. Tommy Hallam, where is that? Where's that? Right, Tommy, let me explain. Let me bring up and let me share my screen, just so you know what I've been up to. So if I go to maps here, I've been going through Europe for the last, crikey Moses, last 3 months. I went to the Berlin trade show, then came down to Hanover to visit Aswo, Paris, visit Aswo. Then I came down, had some time for myself in the mountains, came down to Barcelona where I visited Gotak, then came down to Portugal, flew home, did some work for a month or so, saw my mother over Christmas, and then, of course, Brexit. I had to get out of Europe because you're only allowed 90 days in any 180. So I decided, let's go to Morocco, have a look at the North African appliance industry. So I came over, worked my way down the coast, all the way down into the Western Sahara. Absolutely had a great time along the coast, great fish, met some great appliance companies. And then I decided to go and make the crazy video of bringing a washing machine to my van in the middle of the desert. I've already put the link up for that. And last week we were down in 2 places. We went filming in here, and let me just change terrain. This is the bottom half of the Sahara Desert. And then we went up more east, and we went to where am I? I've got to turn it back.
Miele Lagoon, video is in the description.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Anyway, we went to Mazuga, and then we came back up, and now I'm up, right up, and if I change that to here, I'm somewhere along this road. I can't tell you exactly where I am because my phone's not linking to this, but I'm up at an altitude somewhere in the region of 2,400, and I'm going to be heading all the way across from here on the 703, and then joining. I'm going to take the motorbike down this road first to actually check if I can get my van down it, because this is one of the most dangerous roads in Northern Hemisphere, the 704. So I'm going to have a look at that with the motorbike, and then I'll come back and make a decision whether I'm taking the van. But I will be doing a load of videos on this Chinese-made twin tub over the next couple of weeks. Anyway, just thought I'd let you know what I'd been doing. So let me come off this screen and come back to just me. Right, so I do like the name of this boring machine channel. I'm about to buy a broken sensor card. I was asking in case. Well, I can get you some information if I don't know if we got any access to this model number that he's put up on there. We'll have a look for you, and I might tag you on one of these chats if I can get the information.
Which one, Miele?
No, the sensor care W7443L.
I'm gonna check it.
We'll do our best to have a look at what information I can get you on this machine, mate. Tommy, hello from Dublin. A nice pint of Guinness would be well appreciated here. I'm down to my last, I think I got about 7 or 8 tins of lager left. But I have heard that I can buy alcohol in a certain supermarket down at Ouarzazate. So hopefully I can restock up on some beer. Thank you, Alex, for chucking that additional information in. Yeah, a lot of the low-end machines now on most makes are producing sealed drums, and it is ludicrous. I mean, I think it was Electrolux and Hotpoint that even had the audacity to leave the holes for joining the two halves of the drum together and then welded it. I mean, it was just blatant the way the manufacturers went about building sealed drums just to rip you, the general public, off. Teresa? You haven't given me a model number, Teresa, so I don't know what type of motor is in this machine. If you go to the website and give us the full model number, I might be able to get you some information on it. First thing I would be checking is the carbon brushes in the machine. If it's not doing a high spin, it could have a circuit board problem, or possibly it is unable to. No, that wouldn't work. First thing I would do is check the carbon brushes, but without having the model number, it's very hard for me at the spur of the moment just to come up with a correct answer. But normally, if the carbon brushes are wearing out, the resistance that the circuit board gets from the carbon brushes changes, and therefore the machine may be going into a safety feature where it won't do the higher spin speed. But without having the model number, I can't be 100% sure, and I'd need time to look it up anyway. Right, you're going to have to bear with me a second. Too much talking, and I need a drink. Yes, it's water. No added preservatives. Have you heard of Miele W2 WQ 1000? Apparently has no drum paddles. So I'm confused. No, I've actually seen a couple of machines. I saw them at the Berlin trade show. Yeah, it's a new type of design that they're using. I haven't had one in the workshop to test. I was a bit confused when I actually saw it, but the reps at the Miele stand were not that helpful to me, shall we say. I'm going to leave it at that. Yeah, well, look, sealed drums are the huge problem in the world. Even here, I had an actual. We stayed at Boyd campsite, and they had a Hisense washing machine. The guy had bought it for 50, I think 50 or 500 dirham, and he said it's making a horrendous noise. So I went up to his house to have a look at it, and that machine was a 9 kilo cheap end. I got the model number somewhere, but I was amazed that the drum was splittable. And I don't know if it's only aimed, these sealed drums are only aimed at the UK and Northern Hemisphere market, like Germany, France, and so on. I'm unsure whether they are selling machines here in Africa, say, and machines in Turkey and so on, with the same specifications as they are in Europe. Because people over here can't afford to go out and buy a new washing machine every 3-4 years. They have trouble even getting the money together to do the initial purchase of one washing machine. And the amount of repair shops I've seen in this country is incredible. Literally every town has 5 or 6. And when I say town, population of no more than 4,000 or 5,000 people, and they have 4 or 5 appliance repair shops. And what they do with machines to keep them going is incredible. Anyway, that's another video. So thank you, Alex. Yes, Tommy, I've got to the point. I've got to find a balance between my work and my life. I'm 58 years of age. I drink, I smoke, I do crazy things like this. Let's say I got a life expectancy of 75, 80, if I'm lucky. Make the blooming most of it, mate. You're only here once. I think too many of us are worried about what we build up money for the nest egg in the future. I mean, I've seen it firsthand with my mother. She worked all her life working for a big company, very high up at her job. And the state just tries to claim everything it can back off because she's in a nursing home now. And we're paying in excess of 5,000 a month, where in my eyes, I think it should be provided for by the state because my mother owns her own house. The state, and no one tells us this at the beginning of life. They only tell you when you're on death's doorstep, and then it's too late. So I'm enjoying the most of it, mate. I'm actually starting. I think in the next couple of weeks, I'm going to be in a big city. Well, when I say big city, population most probably 50,000. And there'll be a lot of appliance places there, and they all welcome me in to have tea and everything else. I'm going to start taking some lids off machines and have a look. They do have Bosches over here. They do have Siemens over here. I've seen a few Miele, not many. I've seen a lot of Hisense, a lot of Candies. And I'll start taking some lids off because that's a very good question. Are manufacturers only forcing us in the Northern Hemisphere to buy machines when they're supplying non-sealed drums in countries like this? Very good question, mate. Machine, my neighbour's 6 kilo slim has screws, but the 6.5 slim one are sealed. That's stupid. It's all stupid, mate. This is about manufacturers guaranteeing that they can sell you something new every 5 years. And they turn round and acquire so many brands that they don't worry about you going into the supermarket with the wife and the wife says, I'm not buying that make because I bought that last time and it only lasted us 2 years. And you go out and buy this make and it's just manufactured by the same company. This is why when you go into the Currys, all the big superstores, you'll see 40, 50 brands, but they're only actually manufactured by 6 companies, really. 6, maybe 7. Right, thanks very much for watching, mate. I'm having trouble keeping up here. My Miele washing machine, 16 has been, oh, I've answered that already. And the last one before I go into the list, you are spot on, Paul. Thank you, Peter. I'm glad you agree. Okay, so next one is Hoover. So let me remove that and bring this up. So Rita sent us a question in before the show. And you've taken the top and the door off. The belt is intact and I can see where the capacitor is located, but I don't know how to get it. It's a Hoover. Whole front panel has to come off the machine to gain access to, and some of the new Hoover motors have got the capacitor built into the motor as well, but I haven't got the have you got a link for that one? Yes, you have. You are too efficient, Burkite.
That's all.
Yeah, another hat off. So let me share screens. Okay, so I've put this together for you, Rita. It has as much information as I was able to gain. There's some additional videos at the top. You've got the wiring diagram on the machine and you've got exploded views of the machine. I was only able to get you some of the technical bulletins, but this manual is 32 page, so let's just have a quick flick through and see if there's anything in there. This is error codes, fault diagnostics. No, they haven't put any exploded views of this machine in there. On most of the Hoover machines, the front assembly has to come off. That means you've got to remove the facial panel at the top. This will then give you access to a couple of screws. You've got to remove the plinth at the bottom, access to a couple of screws. Then you've got to remove the screws inside the door and the whole panel comes away. I haven't done a specific one on heat pump tumble dryers Hoover, but I have done them on vented and condenser. And I imagine they are using the same chassis type as they were before. So I hope this helps you out. All the information, and I'll fill my answer out for you after the show once I got some time to do that. Okay, so let me go back to, just bear with me a second. Right, my Mick sent a question in. My Hoover DHL 1492 D3 washing machine has a loud knocking noise on spin cycle. Is there a bearing kit for this model? I am unable to find one. Wondering if it's sealed. Most of these, again, I have put you a page together to assist you in this. Let me just flick over a second. Again, wiring diagram, technical bulletins, and here you've got exploded views of your machine. So if we just go through, that's all the run components. No, I'm sorry to tell you, 203A is the drum assembly unit. It basically is all one unit. It's non-splittable. You can't replace the bearings. This means that you are going to have to buy a complete drum, but don't despair. These Hoover candy machines do go wrong on a regular basis. Use your model number and see if you can find a second-hand one on eBay, Facebook Marketplace, or any of the other shopping channels that sell second-hand stuff, and have a look for any machines that have got electrical problems or circuit board problems. You could pick that machine up for as little as £15 to £20, and that way you could actually save money. Just bear with me, I'm trying to get my mouse over. You could actually have that machine and then swap the drum out of that one into your one, and you'd also have some additional parts as well. So I hope that answers your question. Let's go to the next one. Rafal. A couple of days ago, my Grundig GTN 38250HGCW heat pump tumble dryer stopped on program 6, and it won't change to any other program. The filter's clean. I've tried resetting it, but nothing seems to work. I've searched for videos on this. This is very hard. If it's stuck on a program, normally indicates you may have an error on the circuit board. This machine is... have we got anything on this machine?
Yep.
Yeah, just bear with me. Berkay's just passing me a link. So Grundig looks like it's a Beko, and they do have some very good workshop manuals. And let me just bring this up on the screen for you. So not only have you got your question here, there is a shaft that runs through the knob on the front of the machine to the circuit board, and there's a very small plastic shaft in this. It is possible, I haven't seen it before, that shaft is either dislodged or it's broken. That could be one reason why it's stuck on a program. But normally if you turn the power off and turn it back on again, I imagine it would set itself at the factory deset setting on the program, and therefore it should be on a different program. So I'm suspicious that you may have a circuit board problem. But without having the machine in front of me, it is very hard for me to assist people just off the top of my head. Yeah. So what I've done for you here is not only put the wiring diagrams in, I've actually got you the service manual for this machine as well. And that's over 90 pages long, as you can see. And they do go into depth. Exploded views of the machines with all the procedure for gaining access and everything else. The information in these Beko, Grundig, any of the Beko branded machines is fantastic. At least it'll give you a fighting chance. There's even a test program procedure here, which may help you as well. But if you're not able to get off 6, I'm wondering whether you'll be able to enter the test procedure. Anyway, Berkay will put a link on the description, and he'll also put a link on the video, so you've got access to that page. Hope that helps you. Okay, let me end that one. Okay, only 4 more to go. Right, so my Electrolux EDH803R9WD heat pump tumble dryer displays error. Oh, I remember answering this one for you. Yeah, absolutely. Look, this actually isn't in the technical bulletins on their workshop manual. This error was not on there. So I did some research for you, and I'm going to bring this up on the screen for you because this guy really does deserve a shout out. I take my hat off to people occasionally when they go to the effort of making, although he's a competitor, I'm quite happy to share the information with you. This guy, video unavailable.
I think he blocked the embedding.
Oh, okay. So, Berkay, you're going to have to change that to a link. This guy on YouTube has done a very good video on how to take the circuit board out and also how to diagnose the fault with certain relays that are causing this error code. EHO and EH0 could be related to power problems on the board, and this guy has done a brilliant video on this. But I've also managed to get you the wiring diagram on the machine as well, so do make sure you test all the pin configurations. And I've also got you the workshop manual, which is 80 pages, and some other wiring schematics and a breakdown of your machine, and there will be a link on there to any spare parts that you need. So I hope that answers your question, mate, or at least points you in the right direction of what the problem is. So just bear with me. Let me finish that one. Okay, we've had some more chats come through as well, so just bear with me while I traipse back on them. Yeah, Alex, yes, Grundig is predominantly one of Beko's brands. Silica is the holding company, and they, I can get most of the technical information on any of these machines. They are really supportive towards engineers, and at least it gives you a fighting chance. Even if the machine is not the build quality of some of the higher end machines, it gives you a fighting chance to repair it, and that's why I like the company. Well, it could be the circuit board, Teresa. Terence, sorry. It's a high chance it is the circuit board, but the first thing I would do, without having the machine in front of me, normally if you had a motor problem with the machine, it would stop and not work at all on the motor. If brushes on the motor are slightly worn, sometimes it can trigger an error going through a spin cycle, so it doesn't do its final spin. But other occasions, it could be a circuit board fault. But do check all the wiring going from the circuit board to the motor. And if it has got carbon brushes, do check on that. If it isn't a fault with the carbon brushes, then it could be the circuit board itself. And don't give up on it. Just use your full model number. You may be lucky enough to find a second-hand circuit board. Because if the circuit board has gone wrong and it's a Miele machine, Miele charge extortionate prices. And when I say extortionate, ridiculous prices for things like a circuit board, in excess of £300 to £400 minimum. And the motor would cost that as well. Okay, I've been streaming quite a while now, and I am getting a little on the tired side, so just bear with me while I try and wrap this up with these other questions that are on the screen. Derek, I have a Candice GV168T 3W washing machine. The machine is 8 years old, serial number worn away. I require carbon brushes. Look, there's not that many different types of carbon brush, but I will need to see detailed pictures of the carbons. I haven't got any in this van. Your carbon brushes need, at the bottom of the carbon brush, when you take it off the motor, it comes in a holder. They normally have a couple of pins. They're called location lugs, and a couple of screw mountings. I need a picture from the underside. I need a picture from the other side showing the angle of the carbon brush, because some manufacturers produce the brush right angle. Other manufacturers produce them on left angle. And I'll also need to see the back of the carbon brush to know what size the electrical connection is, whether it's a 4.2 or 6 point something. Hope that answers your question, mate. Oh, I've got that video to play as well, because that was ludicrous. I'll do that in a minute. Paul Norris. We have a Beko ODF 22300X oven. It has stopped for it stood for 4 years in an empty house, having recently fitted back in, switching it on, trip the electric. It can be okay, this is elements again. As I said to the previous person earlier on in the stream, The best way to test elements for earth leakage is with an insulation tester or a mega. And I think my camera's moved slightly, so do apologize. So disconnect the cooker from the electricity supply, disconnect each of the elements one by one, put insulation tape on the actual electrical connection, and then turn the cooker back on. If it fires up, of course it won't heat because the elements are not connected. But if it trips with all the elements disconnected, then you know it's not a fault with the elements, it's a fault with either the selector switch or another component on the cooker, even possible chaffed wires. If it doesn't trip the electric, then start reconnecting those elements, disconnect the cooker again, reconnect one element up, turn it on. So if it's the base element that you're testing, turn it to a setting that uses the base element, turn it on. If it works, we know the base element is working. Then connect another element, like the fan oven element, connect it back up, test that. If it trips the electricity, you can presume with confidence that it's the fan oven element that's faulty. I've also put some stuff on a page for you when I was looking at this morning, and I will share my screens now. On here you have not only the wiring diagram, I can see you've got a lower element, grill element, and upper element, plus a cooling fan. And the exploded views of the machine. All these have reference numbers, by the way, and we will be adding links at the bottom of the page to these. Oh, he's already done it. Oh, God, he's getting his brownie points today. So we have a base element that needs checking, a fan oven element that needs checking, and there is the grill element, 107, 106, and 98. Those are the three elements that you need to be checking. So I hope that helps you. Now we'll move back. I've only got one or two more to do. Sam sent a question in. AG T65270 AC condenser tumble dryer. The clothes are drying, but not much water is collecting in the water tank. When I remove the condenser, there is a lot of water at the bottom of the area. The condenser is clean and blocked. A few weeks ago, I heard a loud clunk. Don't know what that might be. The machine grating type noise. Could be a fan blade you may have heard. But if it's not collecting the water, it usually means it's a transfer pump. And I have also put on the screen for you another page that will have some wiring diagrams. See if I can make head or tail of this. You've got a tank sensing system. Yeah, you've got a pump on it. So you want to be checking the pump and the pipes that attach to the plastic on the base of the machine to transfer water to the collection tray. And I hope Electrolux have been good at, yes, they have. You've got an 80-page workshop manual that will assist you with taking the machine apart. And Burkai's been very good. He's put all the exploded views of the machine here for you. 403 is the top half of the pump, I believe. And there is the pump unit, which is either, I think it's number 6. So you want to be checking pipes that go to this pump unit, making sure that the impeller turns, and make sure you check underneath the impeller to make sure there's no fluff in there, because if it's not transferring the water to the collection tray, this could be a problem. With regards to the clunking noise, I would be checking number 31 and number 30. One is your hot air system, the other is your cold air system. So this one draws cold air into the machine. This one recirculates the hot air through the machine. And the only other thing to check is the pulley wheel, which attaches to the belt, and possibly the forwards two support wheels at the front of the machine. Those are the only things that I can think of that would make a clunk. Right, that's all the questions that were sent in. And let me just go back to the main screen. and see if there's any more in the chat. Gretchen, how are you, my girl? Thank you very much for popping on. It was nice to see you the other day, and I do apologize I never got back to you. I ended the stream just as I saw your question, so it was very nice of you to drop on. I do like the support. I'm getting better, as you know. With for everyone that doesn't know, I attend a class on a Saturday. Doc Rock actually does a stream on YouTube. Can you put his link in for me? Yeah. Anyone that's actually ever thinking of taking up YouTube or passing on knowledge, we've all got professions that we do, and some of us, like myself, like passing the knowledge on to the general public to help. This guy's very good at teaching. He teaches Gretchen, he teaches myself. You're going to have to put up with his bluntness, but he does point you in the right direction, and he does get you, you know, he's got me live streaming. At the end of the day, for all of you that have had help off me, you can thank him, because he's the one that's forced me into doing it. So anyway, that's that. We've got Owen, bear with me. I will see you. I don't know if there's class next week, Gretchen, because of some show. So I know there's a show or something, so I don't know if there's class, so I might not see you next week. Right, I have a... Oh, let me come off that screen. Let me come off that. And let me bring him up. Owen on stream. I have a Hoover washing machine that's given E01 error code. Could this be a blockage? Yes, it could be. It's always helpful if you can give me the model number, because although E01, and if I check, just bear with me 1 second, I believe, oh God, 1 second. I just got to check E01 error code. I do believe, but error codes.
We have one.
Hmm?
We have one for condenser tumble dryer.
Say that again.
We have a Hoover problem.
Yeah.
But for condenser tumble dryer.
Right. Okay. So I was just. I'm abroad at the moment, and everything on my computer is coming up in blooming Spanish. So just bear with me 1 second. God knows why everything's coming up in Spanish. Go. Oh. Right, now I've gone to co.uk. It should come up in English. Well, some of the things are saying it's a door lock problem with E1. I will need your model number to get the exact information. But is the machine emptying? That's the first thing you've got to ask yourself, Owen. Is it just stopping mid-cycle, or is the machine not starting? Can you elaborate on this? I'll wait for you to send a message back in. You see, the Optima series means the Hoover Optima series error E01 is showing that it's a door lock mechanism fault. So I'll wait for you to send that up. Mohammed Ali, that name rings a bell. Good afternoon all. Good afternoon to you, Mohammed. Gretchen, Doc is direct. This is teaching. Not coming my direction, hopefully. Oh, right, we're having the A team run the class. We might get a bit more production done. That's good news. Well, I hope this is, I don't know how long I've been on this stream.
88 minutes.
88 minutes, that's enough for me. I hope I've answered all the questions that everyone sent in all week. Anyone that ever needs help, I'm going to be doing this on Sunday regularly now. And once I get the van set up, I'm also going to be streaming while I drive. This technology is available now because I've got internet access while I'm driving. And this means that I can listen to the questions coming through with an app that I found from YouTube. And that means while I'm driving, I'll be able to answer the questions, which will be very helpful. But there was one other thing I wanted to share with you. And this was, let me just minimize this a second and get the video. Just bear with me. I was in a 4-star hotel in the Sahara Desert, and education is a very important thing. Now, excuse it being over the right hand side, but I'm just going to show you this. I'm not going to play the sound. This is the hotel manager, and every evening in the desert he was lighting fires in boilers to heat the water. And I turned around to him and I said, why haven't you got any solar panels for heating the water? You know, solar water panels, they're not expensive or anything else. And his answer was, this is the way we've done it for years. It's just amazing. I mean, wood must be so scarce in the Sahara Desert. And the water, the air temperature is 30 degrees all the time, even in the winter. And it's always sunny. And just having some solar panels, he would never have to burn all this fuel and cause all this carbon emissions. And I found it totally fascinating. I'm actually going to be doing a video on it shortly, and hopefully later on in the year doing an installation for someone as well, to actually start the momentum towards solar technology in places like this. Because I think really at the end of the day, people aren't fitting this to the solar water to their hotels because of cost. But these water containers that they're lighting fires in must cost, well, close to the same cost as a solar water panel. But I found that absolutely fascinating. Let me just come back to this. And the last one, no, the machine is not draining. There is still water in the drum. Okay, Owen, first thing you need to check, mate, is that you haven't got a blockage in the sump hose or the pump itself. Do even go to the depth of getting a torch, take the filter out and having a look in the pump with a screwdriver and rotating the pump. Sometimes an elastic band can get wrapped around the pump. If the machine is not starting at all, then it could be the door lock. But if the machine is starting, but EO1 is coming up, this may be the software just triggering an error code, but the machine is not emptying and it's still full of water. So the three major things to check: sump hose running from the bottom of the drum to the pump. Check that, make sure it's clear, make sure the plastic ball inside, if it's fitted, is not sticking. Then check the pump itself. You can also test the pump with a multimeter to make sure when it's on a rinse cycle, it's getting the voltage. This means that if it's a 240 volt pump, while the machine is on spin or rinse cycle, you should at some point see 240 volt coming up on the pump. And that means that the pump is getting voltage. If it is still not emptying water, then it's a blockage either on your waste system or the pump itself may have become faulty. But feel free to send us your full model number into the website and everything, and I'll see what other technical information I can get. Okay, folks, my mouth's dry as anything, and I've been on this for an hour and a half, so I'm going to knock it on the head. Thanks very much for participating. I'll be here every Sunday from now on, and hopefully in some real beautiful locations. Couldn't go outside today because it's blowing 60, 70 mile an hour winds and I'm stuck in this camper. So I thought I'd do this show for you today, and then tomorrow we're heading up to the R704 and I'll be filming all that for you for a future video as well. Thanks very much indeed for watching. Hope I've helped a few. Have a good day. Bye-bye.